All right, folks, this is Most Ray with the Underground Footy Podcast. I want to thank everybody for tuning back in. And if you haven't, if this is your first time, please go back and check our other two episodes from this season. We had Keith Fletcher, whose son Christian plays with has a homegrown with DC United. He's currently on loan to Nottingham Forest in the Premier League. Secondly, we had Julian Myers with Sporting Talent Agency, and he talked about some of the issues and questions that parents, players, coaches may have about that. And today, we're really blowing up. We got one of DMV's best ballers in the house, Jacob Greene.
Yep.
I mean, hey, look, man, I had to get you on here. We're going to talk about your pathway a little bit and get some of your thoughts, and hopefully you can talk to the players. All right. Parents can listen in, but this is going to be for the players, the ballers, right? So we'll start out. I'm going to ask you some questions. Some of them I know, but some of them I don't. I never asked you. So I'll ask you now. So Jacob, tell us about your pathway. Just start from, where did you start? Where did you start playing footy?
I started playing soccer just at the club by my house. I think it's called A3 now, but when I started, it was Crofton United, and I was just playing just for fun because I like playing soccer. I like playing sports, and then started playing futsal with DCFA. And then probably around U12 was when I made the switch to academy. But,
all right, let's drill down. That's what they say in these podcasts, right? So when you were with Crofton United, how did you get to go play soccer? Is it something you asked to do?
Well, it's an interesting story a little bit. So like my parents introduced me to all sports, and so that's how I got into
So what sports are we talking about here?
I'm talking about, I played lacrosse, I played basketball, I played baseball, played soccer, obviously. I did track, I did swimming, tennis, and I think that's about it.
You didn't do golf?
Oh, actually, I'm a very good golfer.
Yeah, you are.
I didn't play. Yeah, I didn't play like on a team or anything, or like with my school, but like I was taught how to play golf. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
But
did you go to a school where they had a golf team?
Nah, my school didn't.
I was just wondering. You said you could play for your school. All right.
Nah, I didn't know where people play. I don't know if you want a team or what. But
all right.
All those sports.
So did you ever play high school soccer?
No, I played one game of like middle school soccer, but my mom didn't let me play high school soccer. But also with academy, you're not supposed to.
I was gonna say, it wasn't your mom, bro.
Yeah.
It was the DA.
But to be fair, I was like, during high school, I was playing basketball and lacrosse for my school.
Okay. All right.
But,
so when did you and also, I don't want to skip over the DCFA episode.
Yeah.
Because futsal in this area, it went through a really hot period. I don't know that it's still there because now everyone's gotten older that I dealt with, but we played at DCFA. I don't think that's where we met you, but bottom line is you were on the poster for DCFA.
Yeah, I was.
You were a little fella. They probably still using it. Big shout out to Denison Cabral.
Yeah,
because he gave a lot of opportunities to a lot of kids, and he did a lot of great training.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't something that I was familiar with. And when I saw it, I was like, it looks really hard. To control a ball on a hard court. All right. And he's a Brazilian gentleman, but he so what did you learn from him? What did you learn from futsal?
Me personally, I think that my biggest leap, like what brought me to become like a standout player was honestly futsal, because I joined futsal when I was playing with A3, and so I joined it and I came back after a year, and I remember we had tryouts for A3, and I was just better than a lot of the kids, and I think that's what it was. And my mom was the one who really got me into that, because she saw other people doing it, and she did it like, I don't know, she knew a little bit about it somehow. And then at first I didn't like it, but I think it really helps, like, technically. I think that's where I got most of my technical ability.
Okay.
Playing futsal. So, I mean, it's definitely a different game than soccer because he's teaching you to control the ball with your soul. I know a lot of outdoor coaches don't like that, but it's just good to like you're receiving the ball in tight spaces all the time, and you just get used to like having the ball, which is a big thing in like the modern
Well,
game.
well, do you feel like the fact that you get many more touches? Obviously, it's four guys on the
Yeah,
floor.
it's four guys. Yeah, yeah. So you give them the
So
ball more, you touch the ball more,
right.
and it's not. It's like it's fast. It's faster paced. It's not. You can slow the game down in futsal, but it's pretty much fast paced.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
So now, um, I met you when you came to DC United to
yeah,
the academy. So what was that like? That step from Crofton United A3. Big
yeah,
shout out to them too. We got to
yeah.
give them
Shout
their
out them,
props, right?
of course, of course.
And when you made that step into the DC United Academy, what were the differences you saw?
Um, I think the differences were just. I would say that there were kids on A3 that obviously with the right training could have been on the DC Academy, but I think it was just the coaching and it was more of just like I feel like the kids in DC understood the game of soccer a little bit more than A3 because and when you played A3 and you play club in the beginning, it's kind of just you just kicking the ball, running a little bit, and the coaching is not really in depth, and I think that was what really was the main difference for me. And obviously, like the quality of the players increased, but
Okay, so now you're at DC United.
mm-hmm.
Um, what are you mentioned something about the levels of coaching.
Yeah,
Uh, tell me about some of your coaches at
mm-hmm.
DC United. Who I mean, obviously they've rotated, so
Yeah,
there's people that are gone, but
yeah.
who were the biggest influences?
I think for me personally, it was my first coach, Dave Sanford. You remember Dave, and
Yeah,
then
of course. Yeah.
John Bale when
Mm-hmm.
went off for our team for our U15 team. I think them too. I think it was the way they coached, and they weren't like a guy that's just gonna yell at you and like force you to do this that. It's more of just like they're putting ideas in your head. Um, they're showing you what you could have done in certain situations. They're just like letting you kind of find your way within the game of soccer, and they're not just like this is what you have to do. This is what you need to do. Like
What do you feel like was well, look, real quick, I want to give a big shout out to Dave Sanford and
yeah,
also John Bayo.
yeah, no,
John
yeah,
Bayo is actually an assistant coach at Nashville in the
he,
MLS right now.
yeah,
And he was also a first team national team coach.
yeah.
So everybody launched in a good direction, I would
Oh
say,
no, yeah,
you know.
100%, yeah,
And so we're gonna say what's up to Coach Bayo
yeah. Shout
and
out Dave and Coach John.
Coach Dave. Coach Dave,
Yeah,
I know you're doing your thing, son. I think he's a director now for a
is he?
club. Yeah, I believe so. I
Oh
don't he probably hit me up and let me know if I'm wrong. But anyway,
yeah,
okay. So now you're rolling through and talk about some of the guys that you played with and also maybe some of the older guys that
yeah,
influenced you
yeah. Well,
when
I
you
mean, I would say for my team, it was like my team. I came in and there was a few guys that were good, stand out, but it was really once like Jeremy came in, U12 as well, TJ. Like we had a lot of like our team was filled with like players. Like we had ballers.
Mhm.
Um, and then I guess the older guys like the Cerritos, Iker back in the day, Lito, Justice, all those guys. Like when I went up to play with them, when they pulled me up to train, like that was definitely an experience. I think that kind of got me into like because those guys were like just playing like they were playing in the street, like Iker and them. And I don't know, it toughens you up when you play with them.
Yeah. Now, what you've been all over the country to play at this point.
Hmm.
Do you think there's regional differences in different parts of the country or like players you've met from different? I mean, obviously it's a small sample size. If you got one
Yeah,
guy from San Diego and
yeah,
say that's the way they play in San Diego, that wouldn't be
yeah,
fair.
yeah, yeah. I would say, well, just through national team and then playing teams that are from the DMV, I would say there's definitely like a difference in style and also just kind of like how they are as players. I feel like, like you take like a DMV guy, it's like they got the grit, like they like tackles, And obviously like creativity and just playing like street football. And then you get guys from LA. Like most of the people I've met from LA, they're like, they're nice on the ball and they play pretty and all of that. And they don't really go into, what I'm saying? They don't have that grit that I would say players from here have. But I would say there's definitely differences.
All
I think it's
right.
just from growing up, probably,
Now,
and culture.
have you had experiences with being overseas? Now, obviously, national team. When did you play with the national team?
I played national team from U14 all the way up until I want to say U20, and then
Mhm.
I didn't make the U20 World Cup roster. But
Okay. Okay. Now, what was that like? What is it like to go to another country to play?
yeah, I think at a young age, national team is like it's kind of like a weird experience in a way. But going overseas when you're that young is like it's cool. Like the soccer is like it's different. Like it feels different than when you're playing academy. Like when me and Jeremy got to like we went to Czech Republic and we played against Croatia. Like when we got into that game, we're playing against the same age group, but like it just felt different. It felt like a higher level and just more intensity and everything was more focused. It was like everyone was playing to get somewhere, Like
Mm-hmm.
it was just like it was real, like it was,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
And then so at what point were you like, I might be able to make a living. I might be able to get to the pro ranks.
Well,
What
that's
how did you come to that conclusion, or how did you come to that?
I mean that one is like for me personally, it was a little bit like it wasn't like a real moment that kind of was like okay I can make it. It was more of just like I know that I'm good enough to keep on playing, and obviously they're putting me with older age groups. And I remember one practice, I was kind of like it was with Coach Bale actually. I was kind of just going through the motions, and I was playing good because I could get away with that. And he kind of pulled me aside, and he was like, "I don't care what you can do, in this practice. I want to see you in." And it was at the time we were at RFK. He pointed at the RFK stadium. He was like, "I want to see you in there, and this is what you need to do to get there. Like, you're a good player, but you're kind of just trying to get megs and doing this, doing that." And then once he kind of talked to me about that, and then I would play with the older age groups. That's kind of when I started to think about it more.
Mm-hmm.
And then also once I think it was Chris Durkin who got the first homegrown. I want to say once I seen that, and then I seen a couple other guys my age starting to get homegrowns. I was like, I mean, I think I can do this too.
Okay. So now you signed with DC United. Was that what you expected at the time? Like,
Um,
did they talk to you about it for a while before it happened?
well, I mean, I think once like I think I did kind of start to get the inkling that that was on the rise, but then also um, talking with my agent, it kind of seemed like they were starting to, show more interest in actually signing me. And then also just because I'd been with Loudoun for some time now, and then um, they had kind of put
Now,
me,
Loudon's the USL
yeah,
Premier side.
USL, yeah, yeah, and they were technically under DC, but I don't think
Now,
anybody,
look. Now, I would imagine there were colleges pursuing you as well.
yeah.
How did you balance out or just make that decision?
Yeah, well, what's it called? I talked to a lot of colleges. And I think I only went on two visits. I went to Maryland and Pitt, and I was just waiting for Maryland, to be honest. So
Uh-huh.
once I went to Maryland, I was like, yeah, that's where I'm gonna commit because that's where I've always wanted to go. But
Mm-hmm.
then once we started talking, like with DC, my agent, me and my parents were just thinking that, well, we can always go back to college if I wanted to get my degree, and
Right.
then also, what's the point in waiting? I've already been playing pro, and then I've also been training because before they signed me, I'd been training exclusively with DC, and I would just go play the games with Loudon. And
Mm-hmm.
so we were like, we might as well take it because these opportunities don't just like come across. Like you don't just come across these opportunities. It felt right for me to sign and just get into the environment at a
Okay.
young age.
So now you've signed your contract. What's the first steps to a homegrown? At least, what were your first steps?
My first steps were just first off, I was just trying to come into preseason as fit as I could be, no injuries, and just in the right mind space. Because I knew going in that I probably wasn't going to get a lot of minutes
Mm-hmm.
in the beginning. I might have to sit out of some drills. Like I knew this all going in, so I kind of just like put myself in the mentality that look, whenever I get my opportunity, I'm gonna go like 100%. Whether it's a possession drill or we're playing 11s or we're playing like a 2v2 or whatever. I'm gonna just when I'm there and I'm on the ball and on the field, I'm gonna just give 100% because at the end of the day, all you can do is focus on yourself and just play to your best of your ability.
Now, what was it like that first time that you actually got into an
The locker room.
MLS game? Do you
Oh,
remember
MLS.
it?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, honestly, because I didn't play MLS game for 2 years. Once I signed, so my first MLS game was under Wayne Rooney. It's actually a pretty funny story because I it was like in the beginning of the season and I just came back from injury, right? So I'm like, I'm probably not going to travel to this game. It's like the second game of the season. I was like, I'm probably not going to travel. And then we get a few injuries, and I was fit at the time, not
So
like
you
full fitness,
you
but I
weren't
was
as
fit.
injured as the other people, huh?
Yeah, I wasn't as injured as other people. So I get on the plane and I'm like, okay, well, yeah, of course I'm down to travel. I had traveled before, but like, yeah, they like maybe I'll get in, but I wasn't under the impression that I was. So
Hmm.
we get to the game, I'm having fun, and I'm sitting there. It's cold. It's a cold night. It's like I had my the
Where was
puffer
the
on,
game
all
at? Where
that.
was the game?
It was at Yankee Stadium. It was
Oh,
in New
oh,
York. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it was cold.
NYCFC.
NYCFC. And so I had my puffer on and I'm sitting there and it's like the first half. And the right back's not really playing good. But like I was like, they're probably gonna leave him in for another half, give him like 15 minutes at least. So I'm sitting there and then I'm sitting next to Jackson and Matai and I hear it's like apparently they call my name like 4 times. But I'm sitting there like this, just watching the game, and they say, Jacob, Greeny, Greeny. I'm like, huh? And I'm like, oh, they're like, get ready. I'm like, oh. And I was like, okay. So then I just went up, started warming up. Um,
Did you
once
did
the
you
halftime
did
whistle
you did you
blew,
catch any heat from the fans? You were in New York,
uh,
or
I
they didn't?
honestly, I honestly, once they told me that to go warm up, I was just like, I couldn't focus on anything else. Like I didn't even know what to warm up. I was just like, okay, I'm gonna just jog. Let me do some open the gates. Let me just get ready. And so once the halftime whistle blew, they were like, "You're gonna go in." I was like, "Okay, this is real now. Like, this is what I prepared for." Like, yeah,
Uh-huh. What position did you go in as?
I got in that right back. So it wasn't like I felt comfortable, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So at
Mhm.
that point, you know you could do it? You could run with them?
Yeah, I think it was like I first got in and they blew the whistle and I was kind of like, okay, well, let's see what happens. And then I think I completed my first tackle. I put in like a nice slide tackle, and then after that, I was just like, yeah, this is like where I'm supposed to be, you know.
All right. All
And the
right.
rest of
All
the game
right.
was fine. Yeah.
Okay. Cool, cool. Now, we know that season wasn't fantastic.
No.
But at least you played for Wayne Rooney.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The season wasn't the best, but I got a lot of experience, and then because I was with first team the whole year, so
So
it
real
was a good
talk,
year.
is Wayne Rooney hard to understand when he gets going, or?
Oh yeah, I mean I won't lie, like they have to have the assistant coaches there because sometimes I was sitting there in the back of the meeting, I'm looking around like, are y'all understanding what he's saying? But then I'm like, I was like, okay, but at the end of the day though, I feel like once he was show stuff on the board, it was like, okay, we get what you're saying.
you,
But yeah,
you needed some visual aids up in
yeah, some
there.
visuals. I was like, I can't really understand them, but
Right, right, right. Okay.
yeah.
All right. Now, one of the things that in every pretty much from once you get out of travel, and if you're in
Mhm.
the academy, you have these two.
Yeah,
The year-end meeting. I
yeah.
want you to tell the players out there, the young ones in particular,
Mhm.
what is a year-end meeting and what is the mindset you have to have going into it?
Okay, so for me, I'm gonna say this. So when you have your end of year meeting, they're just gonna. I mean, obviously they're gonna tell you um if they're gonna keep you on the academy or not. But like, it's more of like, what's it called? They're just telling you what you need to improve on, what will make you a better player, and they're not trying to like, bash on you. They're just trying to help you improve. And I think the mentality you have to come in with is just, I'm here to listen to the coaches and just hear everything they have to say. Because if you just take all of it in and just, yeah, if you just take all of it in and apply what they're saying, you should become a better player. And it's not like you shouldn't be like, okay, well, this guy doesn't think I'm a good player. screw that guy. Like, nah, you just wanna hear everyone out because everyone has different opinions in soccer, and I think you just hear everybody out, you'll benefit from it. Like, you may not agree with it, but it's still good to hear. You know?
Academy year-end meetings, they can be a little tricky. Now,
Yeah,
you step into the pro ranks.
yeah,
Every year we see the goodbye, thank
yeah.
yous.
Yep.
They try to make it kind of, but it can be like, okay, you're not coming back, right?
Hmm. Yeah, I mean,
So
it's cutthroat. Yeah,
yeah, and do you think that like some of the guys probably knew, right?
yeah, yeah. I mean, I feel like for me, for me, and like talking to other guys, like you kind of know if the club's still liking you or if you're on your way out. Like you kind of just get a feel for it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But end of year meetings, pro level, are much more just straight to the point. You weren't doing this, and we can bring someone in who can. So it's like, yeah,
And maybe pay them less.
yeah, for real.
Is
Like,
I mean, I want you to talk about it. It's a business,
yeah, it is. It's a
right?
business. Like, I feel like my end of year meetings on my first 2 years of my contract were very much like developmental. Like, they were kind of just like, okay, you can still develop, and we're here to help you in this. And then my third year, after playing under Wayne, it was different. It was more of just like, okay, we've seen the improvements, but we still just aren't quite, I guess, sold in a way, or we're
Mm-hmm.
not seeing exactly what we want, but we have seen improvements that we like, but just not all the way. And I just was like, well, I understand what you guys are saying. I was doing what I could. Um, if it wasn't enough, then it wasn't enough, and I'll just go to the next club and what I'm saying, I'll do what I need to do. But yeah, it was just like that. It was just straight to the point, really.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing that I've noticed about you is you never seem to get too high or too low. Like I can't normally, I've been around, well, you and a lot of guys, and sometimes you can kind of read where their head's at. Like if a game
Yeah.
isn't going right or things, is that something that just comes natural to you? Is it something that you try to do, or is it just
Um, I think for me it's natural just because like in life that's kind of just how I am. So when I deal with stuff on the field, it's just my approach to it. But I think honestly, as I've gotten older, I think I've more kind of focused on it just because it honestly keeps you sane in this line of work or playing soccer. Because if you let your highs get too high, you just can't do that. You can't let your lows get too low because you can't just ride. Play one game, you play good, you score like a hat trick, let's just say. You can't just ride that because like the next day people are gonna forget. And if you just ride your lows, it's like you're just always gonna be down on yourself. The confidence is not gonna be there. So like having that middle and just
now? How
finding
do
that
how
is
did
good.
how do you navigate a bad patch of play or a bad patch of training? Like how do you get yourself, because a lot confidence is a big part of an athlete,
Oh yeah,
and I've
it is.
seen very good players if I've seen very good players that if the coach, let's say, is not feeling them,
Yeah.
because coaches change,
Yes.
paths of organizations change.
Hmm.
How do you maintain at that point when it's like, okay, I'm not the type of player, perhaps,
Yeah.
like I always bring up like Eden Hazard going to
Hmm.
Real Madrid, or heck,
Yep.
even maybe Mbappe right
Mbappe.
now.
We
It's
don't know.
like
We gotta see.
things ain't going the way he imagined, I
Yeah.
suppose. So
Uh,
it doesn't mean what?
I mean, it doesn't mean they're a bad player. You know what I'm saying? It's like you can't say like you can't say Eden Hazard is a bad player just because he's playing bad. Like we all know what he can do. But I think like I don't know. That's a tough one because growing up, honestly, like Coach Ryan, he used to tell me that whenever I would like make a bad pass in training or like just I wasn't playing good, like he could see it and like it would affect how I play. So I think now what I've done is just when I mess up, I'm like, it's soccer. Everyone makes mistakes. Like you can't make one mistake and be like, I'm not gonna do this, I'm not gonna do that. Like you have to take risks. And with taking risks comes mistakes. So you just gotta be open. Like you make a mistake, you just gotta keep going. Like when I make mistakes now, I very rarely am like, putting my head down or like throwing my hands up. If I make a mistake, I'm just running. Like I'm just running to the next play. It's not like I'm not harping on it.
Okay, can you talk to kids? One of the things that I've seen is like I don't like to see, like if I'm coaching, right?
Yeah.
I don't like to see someone yelling at another teammate.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I'm sure you've been around all kinds because it takes all
Yes.
types, right?
Yes. Yeah.
That's not something I've ever seen you do.
Yeah. Well, for me, I just because there's different types of leaders, and I think
Yes.
there's different types of there's guys that are just gonna yell just to yell. They might not even say like stuff that's gonna help you. They're more just saying "come on" or like "next play" or something like that, and that helps you like internally. It doesn't help you play better. It might actually, but I think for me, even when I was captain in academy, I was never a guy that would yell or give these big speeches and get the guys going. I'm more of just a if someone's doing bad, I'll come and pick you up. You know, I'll come and talk to you, but I don't need to yell across the field. Like, you know, that's just how I chose to lead. I like to lead by example. So that's just how I chose to lead.
All right, now, not to harp on it, but I want to
Mm-hmm.
know when that thing happened, you were like, okay, they're not bringing me back. What
Yeah.
immediately where did your head go? What are the next steps? And this
Mm-hmm.
could be for anybody. When they
Yeah.
tell you that it's not good enough,
Yeah.
I mean, obviously your option is to say, well, I guess I'm just not good enough and stop playing.
Well, for me, that was like when I got released from DC. That wasn't my thought at all. It was more of just like, okay, well they let me go. I understand it. It's a business. They gotta do what they gotta do. And look, I was just like, okay, well I'm gonna just work harder. I'm gonna grind harder, and I'm gonna just be ready for my next opportunity because I know it's gonna come. You know, and it's like you just have to just sometimes you just have to take stuff on the chin and just keep your head up. And honestly, it just helps,
Okay,
in
so
my opinion.
now when I saw that you were going to Columbus Crew too,
Mm-hmm.
right? Now, was that your first choice, first option? You know,
Mm-hmm.
how did you come to the say, hey, let's go check this out?
Well, I was talking with my agent in the off season. We were kind of just navigating USL, MLS, Next Pro, and overseas, and we were just hearing the different options, different teams, different coaches, and I think that we just landed on Crew because of one, the GM had already seen me as a player and kind of liked me, and
Mm-hmm.
then also just like because Crew they they did have a lot of guys that came from that second team and are now first team like regulars. So we just thought that, you know, if I can get in there. And then also we thought that the playing style suited me as a wingback, which I ended up playing multiple different positions, but that's
Mm-hmm.
neither here nor there. But yeah, I think it was just the overall of is a good organization and
Mm-hmm.
then just like style of play and then the GM had liked me and yeah, just thought it was a good opportunity to maybe get to a first team.
Okay. And so you enjoyed your time there. Now, as
Mm-hmm.
we're speaking, you're back,
Yep.
you're a pro, and now you're going on to your next adventure.
Yep.
Okay. So how long does it take all of these talks and stuff? I guess there's no general because you don't know.
Yeah, yeah,
You
you
don't
don't.
know. And what I
So,
won't do, I'm not going to ask you what you're going to do next
yeah.
because because
Oh, yeah,
oh, you okay? That's
yeah,
fine.
yeah.
But
I don't
see,
know. Yeah, I still have to talk to all these teams, and yeah.
yeah,
But go ahead.
we'll see. Long as there, I guess, long as there's out. Now, what is the difference between, in your opinion, MLS Next Pro and USL Premier?
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
those are only two you played in. So,
Yeah. I think I honestly USL and MLS Next Pro, technical ability on the ball is pretty much similar. I mean, you got guys in USL that are good on the ball, technical, but I think that MLS Next Pro is more of a developmental league. Like it's more of like you can feel that it's not like obviously losing is you don't want to lose, but you can feel like it's not geared all the way towards winning, in my opinion. USL is like they're going out every game. they're not caring how they play. They're just playing to win. Like they're not really caring if they build out from the back or you know what I'm saying. Like
Mm-hmm.
for me, like last season, a lot of our games, like every game, we would always try to play, our style of soccer and take the risk that we take. And if you make a mistake, no one would be mad at you. But if you were playing USL, you make like I made mistakes when I was playing USL when I was a young guy. When you make mistakes like that, it's like you're getting ripped by the players, getting ripped by the staff, and you're getting ripped in the video. And they're not saying, okay, you can do this. They're saying, don't do that. Like you can't be making those mistakes. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
and in MLS Pro, it's a little bit different. They'll take their time with you and they'll be like, the idea was right, but maybe it's not the time, or maybe it was just execution. But yeah, I think USL is just more of a, for lack of better terms, just more of a men's league. If that makes sense.
All right. Well, I try to keep these short, and I can always come back and see you. I'm guessing. I may wait till you got some more adventures for me.
Yeah.
Oh, I do want to say,
Mhm.
Jacob, you remember you were a PG young boy when you won that state cup.
Oh yeah. I remember that. Nah.
We won a futsal state cup, Maryland State Cup, and we ravaged them cats. Oh my
Nah,
gosh.
so good. Nah, it was crazy because I had played state cup before with DCFA, and I was like, state cup supposed to be this easy? I was like, man, it's
But
crazy.
you did have some ballers with you, bro. You gotta admit, man.
Yeah,
Okay,
no, our
you
team.
cats could play some futsal.
Oh yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it was kind of unfair, but
Yeah.
yeah.
But with that, I want you to just close out, talk to young players that maybe they're like deciding, I really enjoy this. I might be able to make a living doing it.
Mhm.
Give them some advice.
All right, I'll say my advice to all young players is if you're kind of on the fence of if you want to play soccer or not, you can explore other things. You have the time to, and you can always keep on playing soccer. Because me, I would in academy, I would miss soccer practice, DC United soccer practice to play lacrosse or to play basketball in middle school. And honestly, soccer wasn't my favorite sport growing up. But sometimes the more you play it, it becomes more fun. And the older you get, you start to realize that maybe that is a sport for you. But I would say just stick with it and then keep smiling, keep your head up. And then obviously you got to explore everything because, you know what I'm saying? There's
And
more
what
to
would
life than
you
just
and
soccer.
what would you tell the parents of young players?
I always tell the parents, I would, ooh, I would say, I feel like my mom honestly helped me a lot. But I would say, don't force your kid to play soccer. Don't bring him to these, like these teams when he really doesn't want to. Just don't force them to do anything that they don't want to. And I think you got to let them, find their path within the game of soccer. And then also like just that helps with life too. I feel like you just let them become their own player, they'll have more fun. You don't want to ruin the game for a kid, Because at the end of the day, soccer is a fun game. So
It's
I'll say
a
just don't ruin it. You know,
game.
it's a
All
game.
right. Look, I'm not going to tell you to give the coaches any advice since you still got to deal with coaches. So we're not going to go there. But boss, I want to thank you for coming on the Underground Footy podcast.
Of course.
You know, we're going to be getting I got some other guests lined up, somebody
Mm-hmm.
big. I don't know if they're as big
Okay.
as you, but they're big.
Okay. Nah, they're probably bigger than me.
All right.
You know what I'm saying?
And we'll let people know what's going down when you know what's going down. And
Oh yeah, of course.
and thanks again for coming on board. And we'll be watching.
Yeah, anytime. Thanks for having me on.